Welcome, everyone. I'm very excited to be with all of you. My name is Karuana Gatimu. Today, we're going to talk about creating an AI-ready organization. And I'm really excited to be here with my two colleagues, Cynthia and Olga. For any of you who've been following this Copilot journey, you've been seeing all the content that's been coming out on adoption.microsoft.com and so many of our other properties. And these two women, you would not have any of that content without these two. The three of us here, they are fantastic. They're excellent partners to work with, and I'm so excited to be able to go through this with all of them. And I also want to call out Jessie Huang, who's in our audience here. She is the editor-in-chief of adoption.microsoft.com, making sure that all that great content gets out to you. So it's just a fantastic group of people that I have the privilege of working with. All right, let's go through quickly what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about our Copilot implementation framework, and it is the implementation framework that you will start to see across Microsoft 365, which has been revised and innovation has been landed because of Copilot in this moment in AI that we're in. We're going to talk about leadership, user enablement, technical readiness, and then your next steps and resources you can use to get ready. Now, you'll notice the title of this talk is about creating an AI-ready organization. And that is about the product, but it's also about more than that. What we've identified, one of the great things that is my privilege in getting to work with both of these ladies is the three of us worked very closely with the early adopter customers that we had at the beginning of the rollout of Copilot as an experience. And we learned a lot from those customers, and all of that learning is baked into the content, a good deal of which is new, that you're going to see today. And what we really came away with, that the most successful customers in making this AI transition had three distinct areas of expertise. They evolved their leadership, they focused on empowering human change, and they did the right thing and had great talent in technical skilling. But all of that is built on responsible AI principles. You can find Microsoft's responsible AI principles at our RAI website. Just today, we launched a report about responsible AI that Satya tweeted earlier today. And it's really important that you understand that every single feature and conversation that we have about AI at Microsoft is vetted through our Responsible AI Council and reviewed and continually reviewed inside Microsoft before it ever gets to you in any program, even in an early adopter stage. So we take these RAI principles very seriously as we move forward, because we want to see AI help the planet and all of us and leverage this technology for good. We're going to talk with you today about the content that's available in what we call the Copilot Success Kit. You can find the Copilot Success Kit and everything that we're going to show you, with the exception of some of the new fancy stuff, at adoption.microsoft.com /Copilot. That is a page that you should bookmark as your one-stop shop. We publish news and announcements. We have all of the new enablement content, technical skilling, point you to things on Microsoft Learn. We really are doing something there to bring together all of the things across the ecosystem so that you don't have to be like I used to be, which was having a OneNote full of links on your desktop, which anybody who's been around Microsoft for a while has done at least once or twice. So these components of the Success Kit address the three work streams that we have been discussing so far, and as well as the demonstration we're going to do of our scenario library. Another innovation that we heard quite clearly from customers, and that those of us who have been doing user enablement for a long time have talked about, is the fact that there are essential things for success, frankly, of any technology implementation project, but especially in the area of AI and Copilot. And then there are these two distinct work streams, right? User enablement and technical readiness. Now, one of the things that we find in organizations where their technology enablement projects get stuck, it's because these two groups aren't talking to one another. Or somebody thinks that user enablement is just about training, or it's a bolt-on after the fact. That does not create a successful organization that's able to leverage technology as a competitive differentiator. And that is the goal here. We want your organizations and you as an individual to leverage these things to make your business healthier and better, more effective, more productive, grow your top line. So to do that, you have to have these groups work together on the foundation of the leadership journey that continues as leaders learn how to think about AI as a capability. We mentioned those essentials for Copilot success, right? Nominate and have your Copilot executive sponsors in partnership with your AI council. How many of you out there have an AI council or an AI group that's looking at that? A few of you, excellent. Quite a few of you in this audience, that's fantastic. We have, for those of you who haven't done that yet, we have a guidance document about how to create an AI council and what its purpose actually is in your organization. But these two things work together. And an executive sponsor is not someone who just approves the purchase of Copilot licenses in your organization. It's somebody who is willing to be an active voice in the project and helping people understand the vision of how AI is going to be used in your company, who will actively take part in the project, understand the issues, highlight those success stories, and more. And then, because they're key to defining those initial high-value scenarios, right? Remember that people are busy and organizations are under a lot of pressure to be competitive. And so it's important that you understand as a company, where can you leverage AI in a way that is really going to help your business? Is it customer service? Is it through your sales force? Is it in product management or IT? Like, think of these things. It's important to identify them early on as you're going through the process. Then, of course, you will learn more as you go. And as you're thinking about how AI can help you, and you want to think about extending and expanding your usage. Lastly, defining the path to make sure that you have, that you're securing your data and that you're operating in a compliant manner. Olga and the team have done a tremendous amount of work about really crafting the checklist for you to do that. And I will say that governance across Microsoft 365 is a topic I've been passionate about for more than 2 decades. And a good deal of what you hear about is that foundational Microsoft 365 tenant governance, right? Having a life cycle, using sensitivity labels, understanding your information architecture, and now more than ever, what is the authoritative information in your organization? If you don't know where your HR policies are housed, then neither will Copilot, and it might serve up incorrect information. Right? And so you want to manage that from a data security and an information architecture perspective, and we have the guidance about how to do that. This slide here represents the executive summary of the overall implementation framework for Copilot for Microsoft 365. And I want to draw your attention to the 4 pillars there, the 4 phases of implementation. Right? Getting ready, onboarding and engaging your user base, delivering impact, and extending and optimizing your implementation. Right? And both of these pillars cross both the user enablement work stream and the technical readiness work stream. Right? And so think of it a little bit like a matrix there. And you're working together in those 2 groups to deliver value and take care of essential items. Now, of course, in each work stream, there are more tasks to be done than what you're seeing here. But this is an overview that is designed for leaders in your organization, yourself, so that people can understand what needs to be accomplished. Right? In some organizations, this may take some time. But we are really working now on how can you get to value with Copilot more quickly? What happens in those first 30 to 45 days, right? So that you can get value, you can get it to people, make sure that you're getting feedback and moving on. And once again, we're always here to help you accelerate this journey and overcome difficulty, both with our fast track partners, our Microsoft partner ecosystem, Q&A and answers that we do in our community spaces, and with all this content and training that we are publishing. You are not in this alone. Right? And I really think that, that's a differentiator between what Microsoft is doing and what maybe some of the other folks in this AI space are doing. I had a great opportunity to see many of those people at a summit that I went to on AI at MIT. And there was only a few Microsoft people there, but many, many other suppliers. And, if I ask that question, like, how do you train people about your tools? Or, how are you helping your customers make sure that they have success? And our offering and the breadth of it is quite a differentiator. So I was proud of that. In that particular audience. And you can see here, this is an implementation project summary. And we've color-coded this so that you know what's happening in the first 30 days, what's happening in 30 to 60 days, and beyond. Now, you are going to adjust this in your organization, right? For yourself, the timeline might adjust, but it is possible, and we have seen it done, that you can get to this sort of value in the first 30 days from that time you make that purchase decision and you're moving through your implementation. Right, and so having these tools in the success kit, we have the checklists for you. You know, I definitely encourage you to visit the Copilot Success Kit site so that you can get all of these slides and the documentation and the papers and the templates and the tools. You know, don't start from scratch as you're doing this. Right, use the things that we are sharing with you so that you can then tailor them for your organization in a great way. So I'm excited about these tools and what Copilot is going to bring, not only for your companies, but for you as individuals, right? Be thinking about how these new capabilities can actually change your role, because all of our roles will be impacted by AI over the coming years. We are in charge of how. We own that narrative for ourselves as professionals, but also for the companies that we work for. And of course, I'll talk more about that in my closing keynote. But right now, what I want to do is hand this over to Cynthia Johnson, who will take you through elements of the leadership journey and the awesome content that she's created. Cynthia?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Karuana. I'm so excited to be here with all of you, and following on Karuana's message here, we see more and more what we've seen from our early access program from the customers who've been diving into Copilot, and even internally at Microsoft, we've been working really closely with the team. They have some amazing sessions here. Hopefully many of you have been able to go check those out. We've learned that leadership really is paramount in this era, and so we'll talk about some of the ways that you can engage, activate, and partner with your leadership teams across functions, as well as your company's governing bodies. So Karuana touched on some of the things that we've learned so far, and I want to emphasize, we learned that it's very important to deploy covering an entire team. And we continue to see folks, many customers have we call it sprinkling licenses across various functions, various different teams, and really what we're seeing is the folks who cover an entire group, even if it's a small group, even if it's 25 people, and you start there, the learnings are exponential as users share their best practices, as they share the prompts that are really resonating with them. And so those groups tend to have the quickest takeoff success. We've also seen that providing a really great way and hopefully a structured way to share your best prompts, share your best practices helps. So we'll share some of the tooling. Hopefully you've seen Copilot Labs, some of the wonderful team work that team has built out. But again, that element of sharing and driving those cross-functional insights is very important. We also recommend having a leader drive your rollout. As Karuana mentioned, having that sponsor is key. And I think that can be both for setting an example and showing how AI is encouraged for each user to really evolve the way that they work every day, but also helping when blockers come up and when there's difficult situations to conversations and governance to work through. And finally, of course, you want to make sure that you're setting goals, you're tracking your progress, and you're getting feedback. So this is where user sentiment, all of your listening tools are going to come very, very much in handy. So about the AI Council, we do have on the Success Kit site, you'll find guidance on how to really structure that, build it, engage the right folks across each team. We recommend having folks from your IT group, obviously, helping to bring all of these folks together. IT is going to make sure that there is a seamless deployment, and they're going to continually update based on compliance, feedback from users, et cetera. Very important. We also want to make sure we have a change management team that's engaged, as well as that executive sponsor that we spoke about, and finally risk management. Because again, things as we're all learning and we're evolving, there will be a lot of opportunity here to make sure that your company is abiding by the appropriate regulations, as well as any ethical standards, et cetera, that you have defined. So from our internal rollout, what we've seen so far, and this is where all the conversations we're having with leaders across organizations, we're seeing that people are really looking for what is the impact, what is the value that this is going to drive for my organization. So far, internally at Microsoft, we actually started by first giving access to our sales and our support teams. And we're already seeing some really significant gains here. So our sellers have more time that they are actually using to spend with customers, which is huge, because that's really where we want them to spend their time. 83% of our sellers say they feel more productive and better able to actually meet their targets, their quotas, their goals. On the support side, we see much quicker case handling time and a boost in case resolution. So we're starting to see, and we are still early, so I want to emphasize, we had some of our early adopters. Now many of your organizations are starting to scale AI, but it is early, and we'll continue updating on the Success Kit and our adoption side, all of our learnings as we drive deeper value insights. We've also seen, once your users get access, that they feel that they have significant value from Copilot once they hit this moment. So once they are saving 11 minutes per day, which is really not very much, but once users feel that they are saving 11 minutes per day and they've been using Copilot at least 11 weeks, this is the moment where they don't ever want to give it up. And this is where we hear folks saying, hey, if I'm thinking about my next job, I'm thinking about whether it's going to give me Copilot access, whether this is going to be a tool that I can take with me. And you've probably seen stats. Most people that have Copilot would prefer it over even a free lunch. And so we're starting to see that user love start to grow. I was going to put a pizza on here, but. So many of the folks in this room you've been leading digital transformation, probably for the past decade, maybe more, really helping your organization evolve and get into this new digital era. Now we're heading into a new moment, which is really about reinvention. And what that means is we are essentially needing to upscale some of the planning, some of the conversations happening across your organizations to think about how this is actually going to redefine and change the way your functional teams achieve their goals. And so as Karuana mentioned, each of our roles will change most likely in the next few years with AI. And it really is in our hands to find that path forward, to define how each of our functional groups will be able to better achieve. And so looks very different, right, across functional areas. And so it really will be a conversation and a partnership across each of your groups, including your finance team, your sales team, your marketing team, your legal team. And AI will look, a little bit different across each of those. And so it really is about empowering those teams to develop their own vision, and then, of course, empowering them with the right technologies and the right tooling to achieve that. So far what we're seeing is Copilot, as I mentioned, is bringing value across business functions. Some of the best practices that we recommend, of course, are grounded in usage. So the folks who already know and use and love Microsoft 365 every day, those are going to be the folks that get the most value early on. So if you're thinking about who to license, which teams to start with, again, you want to make sure you license that entire team or group, even if it's a small team, together to help them kind of boost and get those learning and sharing best practices gains. And finally, I'll talk a little bit more about how to think about the scenarios and use cases. And hopefully some of these tools will be really helpful, again, in sort of that leadership discussion where you're working with your functional leaders to define what are their priorities and who are the first teams and groups that we should be kind of covering across. As we've been on this journey internally, we've found that our value journey with Copilot, it really kind of is sort of this pyramid, and hopefully many of you have seen this, but really you first start with individual value, right? So these are the ones that would benefit probably everybody in this room. We go on vacation, we come back, we're like, hey, recap my emails, recap my, what did I miss? So those sorts of things that we call kind of the individual information worker generic skills. As our users at Microsoft have gotten really comfortable with those initial prompts, which we'll talk about, then you can move into these departmental skills. And this is where you really start to use those multi-turn prompts, and you start to complete a full task, such as launching a marketing campaign, launching a new product, or creating a sales proposal or pitch for your customers. using those more intricate departmental skills and multi-turn prompts. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about extensibility. I know there's a lot of goodness at this conference about how we are building out-of-the-box plugins, how you can create your own copilots. This is where I think the value and the ROI, it really becomes clear, right? Really, really quickly, because you start to automate, you start to streamline and connect many of these systems that have been in the background for so many years to surface all of these things and bring those top insights together. As we've been studying and diving into how people are using Copilot, again, at Microsoft and with our early customers, we're seeing that there's kind of three big value buckets or three key benefits that folks are getting from Copilot and AI already. The first is we're seeing increased revenue. So the folks and the teams that are licensed with Copilot are seeing a boost in the activities. Most likely they have more time to spend on those really valuable, more complex tasks that need that human touch. We're also seeing folks use Copilot to optimize their costs, whether it's cost avoidance. So maybe you can, do more with less. We've all been talking about that, right, for a while. You maybe don't need to add more vendor teams. Maybe you don't need an additional consultant because Copilot can really start to help give you that boost. Or reducing costs and finding where are the places where these processes should be. We don't necessarily need to do as manually moving forward. And finally, employee experience is really important. So actually, a lot of the customers that we've talked to have said that this is one of their top goals with AI is to improve their employee experience. Again, the more time that I can spend on the tasks that I'm passionate about, where I'm really thriving, where I'm challenged versus those, mundane formatting, recapping emails, et cetera, those mundane tasks, it really boosts employee engagement as well. And so how we kind of bring this together as we're planning how how your company moves forward in this era of AI reinvention is we want to think about what are those key benefits. So including revenue growth, optimizing your costs, driving greater employee experience. We can connect those thinking about the functions. So what are the areas where you want to invest and where you want to start deploying this technology first? We have a scenario library, which I'll do a quick demo of in a minute. Hopefully some of you have seen that. In the scenario library, you can actually discover and think through what are those KPIs, right, that connect the value and these benefits to the actual use cases. So for example, if we're saying, hey, our sellers, so these are some of the use cases actually that our sales team found lots of value in. If we can improve our customer meetings, right, and we can kind of work backwards, then we are going to improve the revenue per sale, right, which is what our research is showing already. And then we can ultimately bring that to the leadership discussion of this is really increasing our and accelerating our revenue growth. So this is kind of how we want to start to think through AI as we plan for how it's going to look in each functional area. If you haven't checked out the scenario library, let me show you really quick. All right. So when you arrive on the scenario library site, and you can find this again through the Success Kit. So just check out the Success Kit. That's your one-stop shop. From there, you can find the scenario library. You'll be able to see what are some of the top use cases by functional area. So for example, if I want to see in sales, we can learn a little bit, obviously, about the goals and challenges, which may be different and unique to your org with your sales team. And you can actually discover, like, what are some of these, for example, I want to respond to a customer complaint. And this is one that I've heard feedback is really helpful because for all of us, it's probably hard to respond to an email when somebody's upset or they're frustrated and they're not getting the help they need. Copilot can really help you hone the language and help the message land better, land softer. And so this is one that I know our sales team has really enjoyed. So you'll actually see the steps. You can also download it as I won't do it here, but we have slides, so you can download it. You can create your own sort of training materials for your sales team. And really important as well, you can think about what are the actual KPIs that in this department where we can see impact. So obviously improving customer retention, revenue per sale, close rates. And then for the individual use cases, we'll also see what those specific benefits are, and you can decide where are the use cases and the KPIs that you want to prioritize with that functional team. So once you have your plan and you've decided with your leadership where you want to license first, what teams you want to cover. Then it's time to jump into the next part of the journey, which is your human change or user enablement work stream. Really important point here is it does need to be its own work stream, as Karuana mentioned. I think many of you probably knew that already. I think in the era of AI, we know it's paramount, it's a non-negotiable. So it's very important that we are investing properly here. And you'll see in the Success Kit, we have lined out the top resources and CTA, so it's really clear what are the, for Get Ready, Onboard and Engage, Deliver Impact, and Extend and Optimize. What are those things that you need to go and do to make your users successful quickly? Once you give people a license, I know we just spent a few minutes talking about the KPIs and the impact and the departmental value. When you really give someone a license, what we've learned is you want to start with those individual value, fundamental tasks. So these are the 10 that we've put together with our engineering team that we feel confident they're going to work the first time. We know, Copilot, it's getting better every day, but we know that these are our crowd pleasers. So start by enabling your users to try these out, and then I certainly recommend starting on the web. So if your users have not used Copilot on the web, this is a great place to start because they can get both the web version and web grounding, and they can switch over to the work grounded chat. And for example, here, if we want to see what our EVP of engineering, Rajesh, has been up to and any updates that we need to take a look at, we can ask for the latest insights directly. And you'll see this just all with Copilot on the web. You can try all of those top 10 tasks that we shared on the web as well. So this is really a great place to start. Once your users get really comfortable with those, generic early tasks, then we have wonderful resources, and we'll talk a lot more about that. We have lots of experts around that have been very busy building the Copilot Academy, which is going to be available to all Copilot users. And this is accessible through Teams or on the web landing page. We also have, of course, Microsoft Learn with all of our courseware, and then we have Copilot Lab, which is really where you want to go to get deep into your prompting journey. And so in Lab, if you haven't checked it out yet, it is amazing. It's actually integrated into the product. So anytime that you use Copilot and you see those recommendations come up for different prompts, you can access it through the various side panels, et cetera, or you can go directly to the Copilot site and you can figure out more tips for how to prompt. We're also, I know the team is working really quickly to add those functional area prompts and tips. So we're going to just continue customizing that further and further. And then I talked about Copilot Academy. This, again, is accessible both through Teams or through the web. And it's a great place for your users to get recommended courses and kind of kick off their AI skilling journey. Finally, as you engage your leaders across functional areas, as well as your C-suite, the Copilot dashboard is going to be the tool to give them access so that you can kind of evaluate together what the impact really is from a readiness perspective, from an adoption perspective, how many folks are actually using this day to day, what is the impact that we're seeing. So we've pre-populated with some of the learnings and insights so far that we're benchmarking against, and also great resources and links to our learning. And with that, I will pass it off to Olga.
All right, we're coming to the fun part, right? The technical enablement. Yes, let's do it. I also wanted to ask the audience, how many of you are IT folks? Raise your hand. All right. And how about you, business leaders, business decision makers? Oh, a few. Okay, good. And how many of you have deployed Copilot in your organization? Oh, wow, a lot of you. Okay. And how many of you have deployed Copilot in your organization just to IT folks? All right, sounds good. All right, let's start. Let's go. Now everybody's waking up, not asleep after your lunch? Good. So the technical readiness guide, as technical readiness goes hand in hand with user enablement, as you know, as you've seen it. And Cynthia, Karuana, and I work tirelessly on the titles, all these 4 phases: get ready, onboard, engage, deliver impact, and extend and optimize. And we had so many phone calls about it, discussing what it should be. So I hope you guys like the phases and the names. I want to hear a round of applause. Even Copilot could not reason with us. The Copilot, that gets skilled by Copilot couldn't coach us. So. Anyway, so in the Get Ready phase, we do talk about the optimization assessment, and I'm really proud about this assessment because it was created in our Center of Excellence team, and I'm part of that team. So I wanted to ask you guys, have you seen this assessment? Have you taken the assessment with your customer? One in person? Okay, I see one person. Woo, exciting. All right. So you start with the assessment, and then you go to onboard and engage, easy. You look at your data security, look at your data governance, easy part, right? And then you turn on the licenses, you deploy it to those users. And in Deliver Impact, we want to continue delivering impact with user enablement team and the IT team, and run different service health reviews and continue on the path to extend and optimize. And that's where we start thinking about optimizing with Copilot. So that's in a quick run, technical enablement. So I'm gonna go to the optimization assessment, and that's where we recommend partners and customers to start with. Like I said, we've created it. It was 25 questions 2 months ago. Now it's 26 questions. And it doesn't, it gives you kind of a beginning and maturity. You evaluate the maturity of your organization and understand how many users are using M365 apps, how many users are in meetings, what is your current licensing profile. So it gives you the productivity tools score and the deployment paths that we've identified, and I'll talk about it later. And also, you will see any blockers. Are there any blockers about your data security? So please take a look at it. And then you'll see the build and implementation plan. That's where we go with user enablement team and IT team. We sit down and build that plan. What does it look like? Is it a journey that's going to take us 30 days? A cough, no. Is it going to take us more like 90 days or a year? So you lay it out. What are you going to do first? Do you have any of those data security blockers? How are you going to convince certain user groups and business decision makers to implement Copilot in HR, for example, right? So it's a good sit-down meeting where you discuss your next steps. And you'll find that slide in our Copilot kit. And we use it in our workshops. So I work with a lot of partners, so they deliver Copilot workshops. And add that sit down, and you will see the pretty shared activity handshake icon. That Karuana's invention. We talk about, are there any unresolved questions about data governance, data security? Do we understand the difference between Copilot on the web-powered AI chat? Is it free? Do we have to pay another $30 or not, right? So those type of questions. And where does my data reside? Where does it go? Where does it reside when I talk to Copilot? So all those questions that your IT folks might have or your business leaders might have. This is the fun part. So after you took the optimization assessment, we do send you on a deployment path. And we've identified these 3 paths, starting with baseline. And as you see, each path is matched to the licensing. So it's Office 365 E3, then going to the core path, which we think about Office 365 E3 and higher, Microsoft 365 E3, but that's where it ends. And then the best in class, of course, E5. So who has E5 in the audience? Okay. Wow, so you know all about automation and automating labels and creating DLPs and all that. Okay, all the goodness. So everything you fully automated then. Easy. E5 is easy. you pay what you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
That's it. I got it. So this is the slide that it took us a few months to think through and how this deployment journey would look like. So get started, take the assessment, 30 minutes, give or take, if you know all the answers. And then if you're ready to deploy, you go deploy Copilot. And then you will see, if you're ready to deploy and you know that your data is not overshared, there are no data leaks, right? You deploy Copilot. But if in doubt, you move to 2B, right? You enable restricted search. And by show of hands, can you tell me who knows about RSS, not RSS feeds? Just one person. Okay. More. Okay. Okay. We got good audience. So, who's tried to run that PowerShell command to enable restricted search?
Not yet. Oh, I see one lucky taker over there.
Okay,
there you
one
go.
lucky. I would throw like some socks or something, but I don't have any socks or pins. Okay, so, all right. When in doubt, enable restricted search and deploy Copilot. So, and then keep optimizing based on your deployment paths that you've identified in the assessment. Keep optimizing. Oversharing, data leaks, E5 people, set all those controls in place. And then very important, number 5, don't forget to disable that restricted search. Yeah, don't leave it on. Don't leave it on forever. And this is a good audience, because if you guys are not familiar with restricted search, SharePoint restricted search, it's part of we made it part of Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365 license. And we've announced it right before this kit went live in March, and just announced it in public preview April 17th. I just put the date there. So about 2 weeks ago. So it's a patch. It's a very pretty Band-Aid, very expensive, pretty Band-Aid that you put it onto your SharePoint search. You disable the enterprise search, and don't start throwing rocks at me. And then you run the PowerShell command, which will enable the restricted search. And then you work on identifying those 100 sites that you can add to the list, so those 100 sites can interact with Copilot. So that's good news, 100 sites. So if you have intranet sites, HR sites, policies, any sites that you feel like your data is secure and can be used in those Copilot interactions, that's what you do. You add them in, up to 100. You would ask me, like, okay, what about my users? What about my data? What about all my sites that I go to every day? Yes, your users will still be able to interact with the data that they have access to, and the frequently visited sites, and their OneDrive for business data, and their chats, and their emails. So it's not completely gone, right? So, and not everybody can enable that, because you would need global tenant or SharePoint admin rights to enable it. So it's a complicated topic, I feel like it. I've talked to you guys about RSS, and some people feel confident, like they do not need to go this way and enable it. They just work on identifying through their data security controls and figuring out what to do with permissioning and limiting oversharing, so without enablement of this restricted SharePoint search. So back to our 3 paths. So this one, you will find it in a technical guide. It's pretty much reiterating you are on a get started path, you're ready to go. Go ahead, evaluate your data security controls, and move on. Install Copilot. If it's safe, and if it's not safe, enable restricted search. Don't forget about Copilot with commercial data protection and turning on that switch, that green pill that you see. Once you go to Copilot chat, Copilot web, cut that out, the chat, please. Thank you. And then for the core pass and for best-in-class pass, we give this laundry list of what you can do. For the core pass, go and check your SharePoint permissions manually, and these slides are separated in the kit so you can really dive into it. And we do advise to use SharePoint Advanced Management, the add-in that can help you identify what are those inactive sites, what are those overshared sites that you can get from the Data Access Governance Reports, DAG, we call them, right? And then on the purview side of the business, we recommend setting up manually sensitivity labels, data policies, data loss prevention policies, and all the goodness that Purview has to offer in E3. And then in E5, it's more sophisticated because everything is automated, right? So these two slides, we work diligently with Fast Track and engineering to put this laundry list together for you so you can have this comprehensive guidance and understand where to start. And don't be scared to start on this path of data governance and data security. I feel like we've coming back to, I was a SharePoint admin for a long time and did all the migrations. So did all that oversharing and permissioning and looking at all the sites before cleaning them up and migrating them. So we're pretty much doing the same thing now, I feel like it, going through your data governance, your data estate, your permissions. We're back to cleaning our SharePoint, getting it in order. So this is a shared activity that we agreed, Karuana and I agreed, okay, we're going to have a sit down, we're going to talk about this data security, and then we're going to figure out who should get the licenses first. So don't forget about our setup guide and onboard and engage. That's where we talk about, going through the checklist, looking, do I have all the M365 apps that I need installed? Do I have my update channel set to current channel, not the monthly channel or enterprise channels, so I can get updates in time for the apps? And then, like Cynthia said, identifying those user groups. So we recommend assigning it to HR, marketing, and sales. Those are the three first departments that we recommend. And start with 25 users. And there's a reason why as well, why we do it that way, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. But in delivering impact, and I'm moving through the phases now. So delivering an impact, so you got your stuff, you got your scenarios deployed, you got your users. Don't forget, again, it's a shared activity to meet with your user enablement team and technical enablement team and look at how are we doing with this AI implementation. Are there any positive feedbacks, negative? How are we moving through the data security controls and fixing that, and data oversharing? So data health, services health review, right? We call them services health reviews, are very important, and that's where you can progress and understand what are the roadblocks and create that kind of a coalition with your sponsors, with your business sponsors. So super important. And Cynthia brought up the Copilot dashboard, and I wanted to say that just recently, two weeks ago, we announced that you can use Copilot. Copilot dashboard does not require Viva Insights license. Who's excited about that? I am. Woo! Everybody wanted to see that drill down by groups, by specific organizational departments. So we wanted to see that. We didn't want just to see adoption tab by features. We want to see, drill down, what's going on with adoption deep down in organizational levels, right? So that's why it's coming in. Great, and I wanted to highlight that the impact tab, where you can import survey results. We have the survey that Cynthia's group created with 25 questions. So for Copilot dashboard, it takes 28 days to hydrate the data to see the usage, plus 2 or 3 days kind of in between. So I say 28, but it's a little bit longer. So if you do want to see the impact of adoption, you do use the survey, you send it out, you get your users respond to that survey, and then you can import the results into the impact. There's a sentiment analysis in there and show to your leadership to see how are we doing adopting. And the last phase, a very exciting one, extend and optimize, designing, building plugins right now with Copilot for Microsoft 365. In Copilot Studio, you can build very simple conversational plugins and have them interact with your spreadsheet or a specific file or specific website. And that looks easy, like takes me 15 to 20 minutes, but think about it, what is the environment? Where does it go? Do you need to have, again, starting for data governance, right? If everybody starts building these conversational plugins, we're just creating another SharePoint mess. So think about that, and then try using everything out of the box first before you start building, flow plugins and connector plugins, and think about your data governance. While you're building, what is the environment that you're going to be letting those business users, those slow coders, build it. And the last month, after launching this last month, I spent a lot of sleepless nights working on this guided evaluation. And if there are any partners in the room, and raise your hand. Whoa, woo, hi partners. So this is coming to partners as well, and our field is using it, and our partners are testing it for us. And it was based on how do we bring the value and adoption of Copilot scenarios faster to end users, and how do we do it with super users, with champions. So if you've purchased 50 licenses, if you've purchased 300 licenses, and it's just sitting in IT and not being used, what are those next steps? We call it 30-day fast-moving train, guided evaluation within 30 days. You engage the community of champions, you train them in those basic scenarios, some of them coming from the top 10 things. And then you teach, those champions go and teach your end users, and then kind of form a coalition. So our field is delivering to customers and testing it, and we're seeing, we're getting feedback, and based on that, we'll adjust it and launch it officially in July. But it's something that, within your organization, something that you can think through. And also, once the champions learn, and once you have one champion per 25 users, then it's easier to share tips and tricks, and champions conducting this 20-minute lunch and learn. So it's creating that learning culture and learning generative AI culture. So that's pretty much it. And the scenarios that we're using, we're not starting with super complex ones. We're starting with 3 basic kind of work streams: personal productivity, content generation, and meeting and collaboration. In personal productivity, I came back from 2 weeks of vacation. hopefully soon, right? I came back from 2 weeks of vacation, and I want to use Copilot to summarize all my chats in Teams and all of my emails. So we start with the storyline, and then I see this, slew of emails pertaining one topic, and I want to explore and understand the summary of all these emails and then replying to it. So it's a storyline. You tell a story in the personal productivity using Outlook and Copilot on the web as well. So content generation, it's all based on working a Word document, taking that Word document, plugging it into PowerPoint and making, the outline, making next slides. So again, it's a story using Copilot on the web, getting those funky pictures in. They're pretty funny, those pictures that generated by Copilot on the web. And then meeting and collaboration. What do I do before meeting? How do I get ready? What do I do after meeting? And what do I do during the meeting? So kind of setting it in context. So I hope you guys see it soon or in the next Copilot Success Kit. Thank you. And Karuana.
There we go. Thank you so much. Well, I do want to go back to just a couple of things. That was a lot of content, right? We have an hour with you to go through the high level and an overview of everything that we have created to empower your journey to becoming AI ready. A couple of things that you need to know that, again, the content is available for you, but we're also doing workshops. We're doing more on-demand training. You're here. We really want you to get, a good taste of this, but there's more to learn, right? There's more to learn and there's more topics to cover. And that's why we've published all of this documentation. Because one thing is very true. We have these next steps, and we want you to be mindful about how you spend your time in this process. There's another thing that you'll see in the Copilot Success Kit, and this is an important thing to notice. Microsoft Viva is actually a tremendous tool to be able to empower your user enablement. Whether it's the Copilot Academy that's showing up in Viva Learning, there's actually more to Viva Insights that can also be used. There's a tremendous amount of capabilities and the templates that we have for Viva Engage for your community of practice. There's a lot of components that we really are leveraging across Microsoft Viva that will help you. So if you're already using Viva, now's an opportunity to really integrate this into your user enablement process. It's worth mentioning that these best practices that we're sharing with you, they apply to other projects as well. Obviously, Microsoft is talking about AI right now because we are, in a very good spot to bring that to you in ways that people can understand. People can have their own personal aha moment with Copilot and why it matters to them. But nonetheless, these are best practices for a good deal of other things. So identify leadership in your organization. Get that AI council together. Understand how you're going to think about using AI in your organization. Understand who is the human change leader in your organization as well. Do you already have that champions community? Do you need to stand that up, right? Remember that people who like to do user enablement are motivated by helping others. They're different than early adopters who are usually motivated by seeing new technology. Right? So understand the difference of those people in your organization as you make sure that also that you are ready for the Works Council. For any of you who work in European companies or have divisions there, that's an important thing to be ready for as well. And also, if you're a small to medium-sized business, maybe you have a smaller group of people. You may have multiple locations, but maybe you're a smaller organization. We have SMB content that's specifically for you that will enable you to leverage this. Having a smaller business is a little bit different than having a multinational organization. And so, Microsoft is doing a much better job nowadays of simplifying things and also making things available in your other types of licensing. And then lastly, making sure you know those technical leaders and making sure that they get the technical skills that they need. The first job I had in Microsoft was working in Microsoft IT with David Johnson, who is here at this show, as well as the rest of the Microsoft Digital digital folks that are here who have been responsible for rolling out Copilot in Microsoft to our 160,000 employees. They're fantastic people, Claire and Eileen and David. David Johnson knows more about Microsoft 365 administration than any other human I have ever met in the last 15 years. And he's really great about explaining the governance components. But everyone from IT will tell you that there is so much more to do, and we don't have more hands to do it with. So it's important that you're prioritizing your time. Leverage those service health reviews to really share with your leadership what some of the pressures are on your organization in IT and how you need to invest in your own skilling to be able to come and rise to these challenges. We have absolutely invested in things to accelerate your time to value. We do have partners who we have skilled and trained in being able to help you. The Fast Track team is available. If you have more than 150 seats, Fast Track is available in a lot of different areas, but certainly to help you deploy Copilot. And of course, you can get started on your Copilot journey with Microsoft Unified, the type of support offering that is available. And, you know, this is one of those slides that I just have to say, I love this slide, but I think what it doesn't reflect is the fact that Microsoft, in the 30 years I've been in the Microsoft ecosystem as a partner, as a customer, now as an employee for a dozen years, I have never seen our company and the people in our company across divisions come together with such positive energy to bring something to all of you. Like the one Microsoft culture shift that Satya has been driving is being realized by the work that we're doing in AI. There is so much positive energy, so much commitment to your success, and so much enthusiasm across the company. It's probably, I know that you're hearing the word Copilot a lot, and you may be a little tired about that, but the point is also, it's not just Copilot, it's Microsoft 365. It's making sure that people have the fundamentals of working in teams and working in SharePoint and the innovations in OneDrive. It's really across the ecosystem with business applications and Copilot Studio, right? This is what people have really hoped for our company to be, and now is our moment to be able to share that with all of you. So while it just says, let's get started, we're committed to your success, sometimes I don't feel that this is representing the thousands of people who are actually committed to that across our company. I do love working here, in case you haven't noticed. I'm a little bit of a fangirl of Microsoft, but it's because of working with people like Cynthia and Olga and all the other folks who are really trying to think about this from a best practices perspective. And so we're here for you in that community. If you do have questions, if you need more help, we're here to make sure that you can go on this journey with us, and we are here to listen to your experience through those feedback mechanisms so that we can understand how we can continue to improve on your behalf. There's almost always so much to do in the Microsoft community. There's lots of ways that you can plug in about Copilot, becoming AI ready, but also continuing your own skilling journey from a professional standpoint. I'll say it now, I keep saying it, if you're not having fun right now in this business, think about what you're doing. There's so many opportunities and places that you can go to meet people in the product group, to plug into the community, and to continue to learn. So we get to come together at Microsoft 365 conference like this once a year, but there's also the Power Platform conference that will be coming. It's fantastic fun. If you are interested in Power Platform and all the good stuff that is happening there, why you will be able to do that with us. But make sure you're always thinking about how we can continue to empower you on your journey, and take advantage of all the fun lightning talks and all the other sessions. Find the Microsoft Digital Group, David Johnson and Claire Sasson and Eileen, and really learn from they're doing so much work to actually empower our employees. That is so important, I think, in terms of learning how it might work for you, and just make sure that you're having a good time along this journey, because we are in the age of copilots. This is the era of AI. It isn't going anywhere, and we are in charge of how this impacts our careers and our organizations. You are already leaders in the era of AI. So really happy to be here with you today. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you, Olga and Cynthia. Thank you so much. Thank you.